Yo. Welcome back to Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, JB. Joining me today, he is back this week. Devontae Forever. What is going on, bro?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. So, what do you think of week 2, man? Oh, like overview.
What I think of week two is that everybody is over exaggerating a lot, is what I got for week two. Like, it is week two. I see a lot of war heroes where automatically everybody's going to the Super Bowl week two. Relax. Relax. Just relax. It's okay. That's what I got
Yo,
for week two.
yeah, man. Oh, and as always, if you appreciate you guys watching, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, comment down below. And of course, we'll pull your comment up on the screen, and then obviously we'll engage. No dumb comments. There's no such thing as a dumb. Well, there's such thing, but as long as it's relevant to the topic in sports, we're gonna bring it up on the screen. We're gonna talk about it. Appreciate all of you. Without further ado, you ready to get into it?
Let's go. Let's go.
No doubt, man. So first, let's start off with Thursday night football. Of course, we had the Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Chargers, and this was probably the most hype matchups of the entire NFL season. Of course, we got it on week 2, and Chiefs came away with it. It was a hard fought game by the Chargers. Chiefs pulled it out. Like some people thought, a lot of people think the Chargers is that team this year to kind of knock off Kansas City. What's your initial thoughts on that game?
I think it was a very great game. I think the Chiefs needed that game. I think the Chargers needed that game to go against some real competition.
Right.
I really liked what I saw from both teams. Like, this is one of those games where early in the season, I don't think there is a loser when you fight and battle that much. I think we also got to see how impressive both defenses can be in times where both defenses need a stop. And I think from this game, I saw what we expected to see from the AFC West this year. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
So for me, I thought Kansas City played okay. Obviously against Arizona, they played a stellar game, both sides of the ball, and I thought Chargers played well. I'm not gonna obviously so far for the Chargers this year, it's kind of been a tale of two halves, right? First half they come out the gate and they're playing well in both games, that and the Raider game. Second half, Raiders started to come back. Chargers really, I think they only scored 3 points in the second half, and then the second half of Thursday night's game, it was kind of the same song and dance, right? The Chargers, their offense kind of stalled out, and I don't know what's exactly going on. It may just be week 2, like it's still early. Obviously, Justin Herbert threw a pick 6. Some people say that's more on Gerald Everett. Some people say it's more on Herbert. I'm kind of in the middle. Obviously, Everett didn't run the route the way he was supposed to. Herbert, he did have a man open with similar leverage right next to it. It happens, though. What's your thoughts on Kansas City so far, like in terms of how they're playing?
They're playing great. They're playing well. I still think that there's obvious holes in their offense. I think the problem is really going to come down in playoffs. And when the playoffs come, who can get open? I don't think they have any receivers who create like massive separation. Sky Moore is great, but he's still young, learning. The thing about the Chiefs this year is that besides Travis Kelce, nobody, you don't have to worry about doubling nobody. As somebody who has Juju Smith-Schuster on his team before, Juju Smith-Schuster is a tough catch guy. He's not a guy who can make separation. Is Valdez-Scantling a decent receiver? Yes. He's not somebody you're going to rely on 24/7. Let's be real here.
Deep threat.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to see how good of a quarterback Patrick Mahomes is, which I think he is a good quarterback.
Absolutely.
But it's going to come down to seeing if, I think the problem is going to lie in receivers getting separation. And I guarantee you that's going to be the big blame spot by the end of the year.
And what's your thoughts on the Chargers on the flip side? Because I think the Chiefs are pretty good. I think they're as explosive, as good as there will be last year offensively. I'm still not sure about that. Because despite what the Raiders did in the second half against Arizona, I don't think their defense is going to be pretty good this year. They have good players, don't get me wrong, but I don't think their defense is going to be good this year. I think the Chargers defense is good this year, so I think that's why the Chiefs may have struggled in the in this game. But what's your thoughts on Chargers going forward? Obviously, we think Herbert will be okay with the rib.
Herbert is a great quarterback. Herbert is definitely the future. Um, the Chargers are going to do what they do every year: get hit with the injury bug and die down. You already look at Keenan Allen already on the bench already. The receivers aren't, and the problem with the Chargers right now, honestly, is he don't got no big weapon. And let's be real here. Keenan Allen is not no big weapon. Why? Because he's hurt 95% of the time of every year. Keenan Allen is not that big of a weapon. He's a great. When he's on the field, he's somewhat consistent. But he's not no number one star. You really got to be worried about. Let's be real here. Mike Williams is a decent deep threat, but he's nobody you really got to be scared of. Gerald Everett, the Chargers need a big time weapon in the receiver position, and I think once they won't scare their offense, won't scare really nobody until they get that. But other than that, their defense is pretty good. I really like their secondary. I want to see how that more they mesh. And other than that, it's just keeping guys healthy. Joey Bosa is ridiculously injury prone. Khalil Mack is ridiculously injury prone. So I can't look at the Chargers until at least week 5 to 8 to see if they still alive and around on the team.
Yeah. So that brings me to the question. Obviously, we know the Chiefs are good. We'll see how good they are this year. We know the LA Chargers are supposed to be good again. Chargers have a tough time finishing games as well as finishing seasons. Raiders lost 0-2. Broncos won, but they didn't look too impressive in that game against Houston. I'm going to ask, is the AFC West overrated? Because obviously it came in supposed to be the best division of all time, right? And it could be, but is it getting off to kind of a shaky start for the AFC West?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Raiders are definitely just starting to disappoint. You're starting to feel a little bit nervous about what they're doing because I don't know what they're doing. No matter, like, you blame that last game on, you can blame it on McDaniels, who's supposed to be the offensive guru, or Derek Carr. But I knew you weren't going to win that game when Devontae Adams has two receptions. You're not winning that game.
Right.
You're not winning that game at all. Like, is he going to be doubled? Devontae Adams is going to be doubled every game he plays in. Figure it out. Figure it out. You have to scheme him open.
It doesn't help when Renfro fumbles back-to-back plays.
Absolutely. Like, y'all didn't scheme well enough to get him open.
Right.
I would say the Broncos look trash. I'm first to tell you.
Including Wilson.
Yes, like, they don't look good at all. I told you about those receivers. The receivers is not as good as everybody made them out to be.
Right.
Because they're all kind of play the same position. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, they all kind of are the same receiver in a weird way. Nathaniel Hackett, he ain't gonna be there very long if he keeps like he do. He ain't gonna be there very long.
Wow. Okay.
They didn't put enough around Russ. They just paid Russ. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now you guys are looking like the disappointing because it just looks like it's going to be Patrick Mahomes versus Herbert right now, until the Raiders can mesh and finally get their act together. Because the fact that the defense is playing decent, the fact that the Raiders defense is actually playing better than the offense, I don't think nobody would have believed that.
Right, and shout out to Reggie Brown who said overrated. And we also got a comment from Glenn Foreman. Shout out to Pops. He said, it's still only 2 games in. Real contenders, pretenders just haven't been established yet. Coming from a true 0-2 Cincy fan. What's your thoughts on that? Still early. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's still early. You see that everybody got Buffalo in the Super Bowl right now. They're all of a sudden people think it's going to be Buffalo versus the Giants for some weird reason in the Super Bowl right now. I don't know what they're talking about, but it's way too early. But like, if I had to pick the best division, probably this year is might looking like the AFC East.
Okay.
AFC East. Because I think our division is going to be the tough. Still, the AFC North is always the toughest division. But I think like the most, I guess, exciting offensive division, low key is going to be the AFC East. They're going
And
to
we got
score.
another comment from Reggie Brown. Chiefs will run away with that division. I don't know, man. The Chargers are good. I think the Chargers will get them when they go back to LAC. Obviously, Chiefs have stuff yet to play the Raiders and Broncos. Chiefs still have to play the Bucks. They still play the Bills. It's gonna be tough for the Chiefs. You got a comment from Zachary Packard. Shout out to my man Pack. Buffalo is about as real as you get. And look, man, I'm starting to agree, Pack. I'm gonna be real with you. I think Buffalo. Look, we're gonna get into that game really soon in a few minutes, but Buffalo's is real. Buffalo real. Nate Butler, Baltimore is a dark horse if they play defense in the second half.
Lamar is on a different level right now.
Lamar is playing out of his mind right now.
We're not talking about how on a different level he is playing right now. He's playing just as good as Josh Allen.
AFC East. Look, man. The Jets won. Obviously, they had a miraculous comeback. Hell, Miami had a miraculous comeback and a miraculous day from Tua, which we'll talk about too in a later on in the show. And got a comment from Reggie Brown. Eye test wise, Buffalo's the best I've seen in a long time. All three phases, they're really doing their thing, and we're going to get into that game right now. Obviously, if you guys have not seen the Bills, they shellacked. Yeah, and that is a term now. Shellacked. They shellacked the Tennessee Titans 41-7. Josh Allen, of course, did his thing. 26-38, 317 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And he is not turning the ball over. Obviously, he was rushing the ball as well, as only he does. They have a big game coming up against Miami. And not only that defense was flying around. They picked off Tannehill 2 times, including, I believe, a pick 6. And look, man, I'm going to ask right now, week 2, I know it's early. And I know Bills Mafia, they probably is watching or will be watching. Are the Buffalo Bills legit Super Bowl contenders?
One is way too early. 2, I'm going to say, I mean, you have to say yes, because like, do I think that they have a great chance of at least going to the AFC Championship? Yes. Yes, right. I absolutely believe they have a great chance of going to the AFC Championship. But my thing with the Bills is, so far, I don't think the Bills have been really contested. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at the way the Rams have been garbage the last 2 games. You know what I mean? Like, I think a team that can give Buffalo a very tough shot is, I want to see that Bills defense contain Lamar. I need to see what that looks like, because Lamar is looking, honestly, I really think Lamar looks just as good as Josh Allen does right now.
Okay. That's fair.
Like, we're not talking enough about what Lamar is doing right now.
Right.
Like, Lamar didn't lose that game. Lamar did not lose that game right there. The Ravens defense lost that game. And now, I think offensively, they're not getting, the Bills have been struggled the last 2 years on outside linebacker pressure, which, like, their tackles have not been tested yet. I need to see what they look like against like a Myles Garrett or a Bosa or a TJ Watt or somebody. I need to see somebody. I need to see what they look like, because I've seen teams last year handle them. Yeah, that's inside pressure though. Okay. And they did a great job handling him inside. But I need to see what they look like when you got outside pressure, when Josh Allen can't just run away from a guy like TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to say it as we have a comment from Reggie Brown. Look like a high school game where there's just different players on the field. Grown men shouldn't get dominated like that, as well as Zach Packard. We are talking about the NFL. They're a plus 55 in point differential. I'm going to say it. The Buffalo Bills are absolutely a Super Bowl contender. They're flying around. Does that mean they're going to win the Super Bowl? Obviously, we have to see, right? But look, man, I'm going to say it. The way that team flies around all 3 phases, and I know it's early, we got to watch for injury and things like that. But putting together a football team, obviously offense, defense, special teams, they are flying around, man. Edmonds, and Milano, what they are doing right now from the linebacker position, like whether it was the hit on Cooper Kupp in the first game and last night, obviously the pick 6, but also the way they are flying up, obviously tackling Derrick Henry is not easy, but the way they are flying up and they are crushing receivers and running backs, like it's something that I haven't seen like in a while, because obviously we know NFL's turned into more of an offensive league.
I will say this is the best I've seen Von Miller versus the run in my life.
Absolutely.
Von Miller,
Absolutely.
that was the only asterisk ever on Von Miller that he could not stop the run. I used to watch him get pancaked a lot.
He could. He's a pass rusher. He wanted the pass
I
rush.
used to
But
watch him
now,
now he's like, I'm like, you stop the run like this since when?
Right.
What? Like you this dangerous against the run? But
right.
I need to see more from Buffalo. I just need to see them go against, like, put them against the Bucs defense.
Yeah.
Let me see what it looked like.
So we got a comment from Glenn Foreman, aka Pops. I want to see Buffalo go against a team that plays physical, and I want to see them overcome injuries. I'm not sold on them as a Super Bowl team because it takes 53 to win and contribute. And I don't think they're there yet. That's a tough one because obviously, look, if Allen and Diggs get hurt, then obviously, there goes that. But the way they're flying around right now is, look, not too many teams can put it together, offense, special teams, and defense. And now kind of the modern NFL, you could probably squeak out a Super Bowl without it. We saw the Chiefs win with predominantly offense. We've seen the Rams offense, it was kind of more the Cooper Kupp show on offense, and then obviously Aaron Donald, Ramsey on defense with Von Miller, of course. We got a comment from Reggie Brown. Sometimes in life, there's nothing else to see. If he's a dream candidate, don't put him through 12 interviews. Hire him. He's him. That's Buffalo. They are real deal. What's your thoughts on that? Because obviously, I'm sold on Buffalo. Obviously, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm saying right now they probably should be the front runners because they play all three phases very, very well. What's your thoughts on that comment?
I just don't think they've been tested yet. I just don't think they've been legit tested
Super
yet.
Bowl champs, and then the Titans, who was the number one seed last year. That's kind of
no AJ Brown. I'm sorry, Robert Woods coming off of ACL. Robert Woods not a number one receiver. Let's be real here. He's a great receiver to have in company. He's not a number one receiver.
What about next week as they go to Miami?
Miami is the biggest test. Miami is going to be
so
the
far, at least. Okay.
So far, at least defensively, absolutely. Like, I think, let's be real here. Cooper Kupp got his. But can we admit Matt Stafford played terrible?
Well, yes, he did play terrible, and I don't even think he played that well against Atlanta.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
So
I agree there.
So then you got Miami. Tua is red hot right now. Shockingly, Tua is red hot right now. I want to see what they do with Tyreek Hill. I want to see how they cover Tyreek Hill, how they cover a Jalen Waddle. I want to see what their defense looks like if their offense struggles a little bit. What the defense look like? I want to see things.
What about when Tre'Davious White comes back? Because obviously they are missing a key piece. You know what I mean? They are missing a key piece. And the way that defensive line is playing right now with Rousseau and obviously Von Miller and Jordan Phillips, look, man, I don't get too hype on teams, but Buffalo's doing this thing. We got a comment from Reggie Brown, a prediction actually. Buffalo 24, Miami 10. That Miami team could fly around. Ravens held them well in the first half, and then obviously they went for an explosion. Ravens was missing some guys too, but we'll see. Another comment from Nate.
They're ranked up in that secondary.
Nate Butler, Tua goes back to being average this week. So we're going to get into Tua and if it's more of a flash in the pan or if it was. So, actually, we just got this comment in from Glenn Foreman. As I said earlier, it's early. The same things were said about Buffalo last year, and they fell short. If Reggie is that short, he should leave those passes. We got the AFC North in the chat.
No such thing.
Wilding out.
No such thing.
We got a comment in from Matthew Harris. What's up, bro? I think going to be a real dogfight, low-scoring game. Look, Miami can play some defense too. Obviously, Lamar Jackson right now, I don't think he can be held. You know what I mean? So I'm not really holding that against the Miami defense. I will say the Bills can play defense as well as can Miami. So I don't think it's going to be 42-40, anything like that. I'm actually think it's going to be more in like the teens, 20s. I don't know if in the modern NFL, that is low scoring now, I guess. Shout out to Nate Butler again. Great acknowledgement with the Ravens being banged up in the secondary in the second half. Yeah, man. Look, certain teams may blow certain teams out if there's injuries. Yeah. I want to see, obviously, we all want everybody to be healthy. Right now, Buffalo is healthy for the most part. I do know, was it Micah Hyde who went out? They said he will be okay, but not. I mean, I don't think he's out for the year. We got a prediction from Packard. 33-17 Buffalo. He's saying it's not going to be close. I'm not going to call out where Pack is from, but Miami can't play defense. They got players, man. Look, I'm not saying they're going to be top 5, top 10 in the league, but they can play some defense.
Lamar is just Lamar's the scariest quarterback to me in the league right now. Like, Lamar is terrifying.
Reggie, they lost to Goat Mahomes. No shame on that.
Oh my god,
defense is playing like they have something to prove. Let that leave 13 seconds. Look, man,
there's only one GOAT. It's Tom Brady.
Tua is real. He's ready. He has weapons. They have a strong D. How can you be strong in Bills and not think Miami? Oh god. So it's going on in the comments right now about Tua. In the meantime, let's jump right into that. So I don't know if you guys have saw, but both Philly with Jalen Hurts and the Miami Dolphins are 2-0. And the reason why this is significant, because going into the season, both of these quarterbacks were under fire for, are they the guy? Do both Miami and Philly need to go get a quarterback in the draft, right? And the first thing I'm asking you, which of the young QBs, of course, do you think will have a better career, Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa? And I know I butchered his name.
This is a very, 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 very tough question, because they're both Tua's sample size of bad is way bigger than Jalen Hurts' sample size at all. Because I think so I'm gonna give you Jalen Hurts, because the thing about Jalen Hurts is the team didn't believe in him. Like, let's be real here. The Eagles didn't give him no shot when he first got drafted. They didn't give him a shot when he came in the game. They didn't really Doug Peterson didn't like him at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't give him no shot. And then, like, for example, we don't talk about how when the Eagles basically tainted the game against the Giants, they screwed the Giants over so they didn't get in the playoffs. They made by just benching him for no reason. Like, they didn't give him reason, which led to homie getting fired. Like, they finally went out and actually built a team for Jalen Hurts. And now I feel like we're starting to see what that looks like. The Eagles are going to be runaways with that division. I don't think the Giants are touching them. I don't think the Cowboys are touching them.
With Dak or Commanders, or because of the injury.
With the team they got around them, like for them to keep Fletcher Cox, they got Jordan Davis. They got dogs on that team. The Eagles got dogs on that defense. The way Darius Slay played against Justin Jefferson last night, they got dogs on that defense. They're going to be flying around. Tua, we still need to see. Like, I need to see Tua in like a big, like Buffalo will make a big game to me. I need to see what Tua look like, and I root for Tua. Come on now, I'm lefty. I'm a fellow left-hander. I need to see what Tua looks like against like a big defense like that. I need to see what he looks like, and can he make smarter decisions. So far, like that first half, he wasn't cutting it. Like, and somehow he just let loose. In that last second half, I need to see him have a complete full game. So for now, with the sample size of more I've seen from Tua and from Hurts, I'm gonna go Hurts.
Comment from Reggie Brown before I get into my thoughts. Tua was overthrowing, underthrowing people all game. That's how they got down to begin with. That's a Baltimore collapse. Easily Hurts. Eagles coming out of the NFC. I'm going to, as of right now, I'm probably going to go. Actually, you know what? That's tough because I think both have more to show. I think Jalen Hurts is more athletic, obviously, and I think what he could do with his legs, as well as now I think both of them got receivers now to throw to, right? Tua, and they also have the offensive-minded coach to help them progress along. I think Tua now with Tyreek Hill and Waddle, I would like for him to get a big receiver for the red zone, but obviously the speed kills, as we saw at Baltimore. Now, I do agree with Reggie. Tua, when he threw them balls to Tyreek Hill, they were underthrown, but Tyreek Hill had that much of a step. I did like the throw he threw to Waddle, even though it was late on the throw. But Waddle made a great catch for the game-winning touchdown. I think Jalen Hurts probably would have the better career, but I do like what Tua has, so I think he might be set up the best. But I do think Jalen Hurts is the better player. Packer, what determines the better career, win or stats? That's up to you, man. Some people, look, man, it's the whole thing with Brady, Rodgers. Brady has the stats too, but it's like some people think Rodgers is just a better quarterback, although Brady has the stats and the accolades. So I'm curious to see what you think on that. And going back to a comment from Matt Harris, just don't bring up my Patriots. The dynasty era feels over. Oh man, you never know what Mac Jones can do.
Listen, Bill's one of the Bills, if not the greatest head coach ever, one of the greatest coaches ever. Bill the GM, not that great.
I think I like Jalen Hurts. I think he plays well. Look, man, I think he caught a bad rep. Like he just got the job. And they're talking about, is it time to bench him? I didn't agree with that to begin with. I do think he'll be. I think they both will be pretty good. I think people kind of jumped the gun on him because they didn't get out to the start like Mahomes did. Kind of the same thing they're doing to Trevor Lawrence right now, just because he's not getting out to the start that Mahomes did. Who will? And Mahomes even sat a year. I mean, he got a year to learn. These guys kind of got thrown into the fire. Glenn Foreman, based on these comments, do you think sitting Hurts actually helped him?
No, because I just don't think they gave him a chance to begin with. Like, they didn't give him a chance. Like, they just needed to give him. It's like now we're seeing what, like, oh, this is what happens when you put talent around the quarterback. You can't just give him
the homie Josh.
You can't give him a blank. You can't. This looks like the Eagles look like what my Steelers look like now. This is what happens when you give a quarterback a blank canvas with nothing already, with nothing set up, not an offensive line to protect him, not receivers, not good enough receivers to protect him. Like the problem with the Eagles had the same receiver over and over again, and they expected 45-year-old Alshon Jeffrey to run deep routes like he was scaring somebody. Like, no, right. It wasn't going to work. So like this is what it looks like when the organization said, no, we're just going to try to build on Jalen Hurts and give him opportunities to look good, to give him better shots.
Got a comment from Brack Zadie, Chicka Zach Brady. Hurts did what Allen did, improve mechanics, which led to better accuracy and efficiency. It also helps that he got
I agree.
AJ Brown as well. And I like what they're doing with Philly. I know people kind of ragged on Sirianni last year. And I think so far he seems to at least know what he's doing with Hurts. Obviously, they built the offensive line is phenomenal. Like what they got, the team, they got a good team out in Phillies. I think both now have the weapons around them. Let's see what they do. All right, so from now we're gonna go into the next piece, man. The next piece we are talking about is right now there was a showdown in Jerry World, right? Bengals lost to the Cowboys, which obviously Cooper Rush was at the helm, not Dak Prescott, as he's still recovering from his hand injury. And Cooper Rush came in and I would say by all accounts played pretty well. I mean, I know some will blame that on the Cincinnati defense, but he looked poised in the pocket. I know he doesn't have much experience playing in the NFL in the regular season. I thought he played well, all things considered. The New York Giants are also 2-0 right now. They're currently sitting technically second in the division, but obviously they have the same record as Philly, as Devontae is rolling his eyes. So I think I know where this is going. Real quick, Nate Butler said people forget Philly had #1 running game last year. That is true, and that is a great point. Philly can run that ball, man, and Jalen Hurts, he only helps that, of course. But and that's how you help a young quarterback. Not everybody's Mahomes where you drop back 60,000 times a game. Glenn Foreman screech. So, with that said, Cowboys at the Giants Monday. Cooper Rush, can he lead the team into MetLife and knock off the New York Giants? Which team so far is the bigger shock to you? Dallas winning against the Bengals, who everybody had high hopes for the Bengals this year, at least most did, obviously, defending AFC champions. Or is it the Giants getting off to the 2-0 start? They beat the Titans, the #1 seed last year, and then obviously they beat Dallas. They beat
the Panthers.
Well, the Panthers, Baker Mayfield, who I'm not high on, but some people are, man. So far, a bigger shock, Cowboys or Giants?
Bigger shock is right now it has to be the Cowboys beating the AFC champions. What? Like, who nobody expected at all the Cowboys without Dak to beat the Bengals, especially coming off a loss to my Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Right now, what we're seeing with the Bengals is just Joe Burrow not getting enough reps in preseason and how that's coming to screw him over a lot. And you're looking at how the offensive line is getting murdered. Their offensive line is getting destroyed. And their defense is getting tired because of it. Like their defense is just exhausted because their offensive line. Joe Burrow is getting murdered every single play. What we saw last playoffs is just happening in the regular season, week to week to week. And if they keep the way they're protecting them, Joe Burrow might not make it through the whole season, bro. Like, now the Giants. Okay, Giants play the Titans. I think we all should understand. I think we all can come in agreement now that the Titans just need to stop playing and start Malik Willis. Just start. Malik Willis is going to be the spark the Titans need. He's just imagine. Oh, you want to run a read option with Ryan Tannehill. Now, imagine running that with somebody who has like a legit like 4.4 speed with Derrick Henry.
But can he throw? Can he read? I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm not. Obviously, I'm not.
I believe
he ready?
Can.
Is he ready?
I believe he can, and you have nothing to. You're down 0-2. You have nothing to lose right now. You have nothing to lose with Ryan Tannehill. You have nothing to lose. Ryan Tannehill is a. Did anybody think Ryan Tannehill was going to be the franchise quarterback of that team?
No. I mean, I thought personally, I thought he was okay in Miami. Again, I didn't like what they really had around him. It was just really Devontae Parker. Gesicki was there too, of course, but actually he wasn't there actually. But what I'm asking specifically is when it comes to Tannehill, and then obviously we'll get back to Cowboys Giants. When it comes to Tannehill, is the problem him, or is it they fell to the Bengals, who was hot in the playoffs? So remember, they were the number 1 seed last year. AJ Brown was a huge loss, of course, as well as Julio Jones, of course.
I'm going to give you an analogy I use for the Cleveland Browns the last 2 years, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Just put the game in Baker's hand, and I'll win the game. I always told you that about the Cleveland Browns. Oh, the rushing attack is crazy. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I said, put the ball in Baker's hands, we'll win the game. No fear.
And you feel the same way about Tannehill?
Absolutely. If you can contain Derrick Henry, you're going to win the game.
Shout out to Justin White for watching as well. Appreciate it, bro. All right, so let's get right into it, man. Cowboys at the Giants, Monday Night Football. Who do you got?
This is the most disgusting thing I've ever said out my mouth. I have the Giants. I hate the Giants with all my heart. I hate every Giants fan walking this place of this earth. I hate the Giants because the Giants are the only team that'll go like 9-9. That'll go like 9-8 and 9 and be like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, I'd rather be 8-9. We're going to the Super Bowl because we get to the wild card, we win. I hate the Giants with all my heart. But I think the Giants win this game because Cooper Rush is about to see something he hasn't seen yet. It's called actual defense. The Giants always play good defense.
So you're saying the Giants defense is real?
Yes, absolutely.
What about the rushing attack? Saquon Barkley looks healthy.
Saquon Barkley looks very healthy. I really hope that they can dominate in the trenches with the offensive line. The offensive line is still a little for me, but they do seem to be better run blockers than they are pass blockers, and I think that's going to work in their favor. I still think Daniel Jones is dumpster juice, but I think they'll pull out and win. I think it's going to be like not a high scoring game. It's going to be a very low scoring game.
Right.
So I got the Giants winning like 20-13 or something like that.
I'm actually going Dallas. I'm not completely sold on the Giants yet. The defense I think is good. Oh, again, the way they fly to the ball, especially against the run. So I think they will have something for Zeke. I'm still not sure about that secondary. Let's get to these comments real quick. Glenn Foreman, Cowboys cannot stop Saquon and will beat up Cooper in a rush. Look, the Giants defense, they can rush the pass as well. I know they got an injury right now to Williams, which is pretty huge. You know what I mean? Obviously, he is the anchor of that defense. Let's go back to Reggie Brown. Not everyone. Bengals was a fluke. So Reggie's saying that the Bengals had a magical ride to the Super Bowl, and now they're kind of regressing back to what they are. Yes. Nate Butler, I thought D was a Giants fan.
Nate, you my guy. Nate, you my guy. Don't ever disrespect me like that ever. Don't ever disrespect me like that. Ever.
Oh man, yo.
You know it's Pittsburgh over here to die. You know.
Right.
Don't do that.
Reggie Brown, Giants is a 6-11 team, but will beat Cowboys this week. Battle for who will be last place in the NFC East. So he thinks the Commanders will jump both of them with Carson Wentz.
Shout out to small soldiers, not the Commandos.
That's a tough call. Look, man, I'm gonna go Cowboys. I think again, low scoring again, just like kind of like the Bengals game. I'm gonna go Cowboys 17, Giants 14. Daniel Jones. Now, I did like what he did with his legs. He kind of put that game away. Actually, both games away, you know what I mean, with his legs. If he can not fumble the ball when running, he has like deceptive speed, right? He's not Lamar Jackson. But if he could not throw interceptions and not fumble the ball, I think they'll be okay. But I think Dallas, I like their defense. I think Micah Parsons, with the injury to TJ Watt, I think Micah Parsons has a really good shot to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
Like,
I agree
and
100%.
to think that Dallas could have had Von Miller, but they just didn't want to pay him. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I get why they didn't pay him because of his age, but like, damn,
he looking real. Imagine if
Facts.
Micah and Von on both sides with DeMarcus Lawrence, with, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
no, I'm right with you, but like Daniel Jones is trash. I'm sorry, Daniel Jones is trash. Listen. I think my biggest problem with the Giants right now is that fact that they didn't do no homework on Daniel Jones.
Right.
They picked him. Let's be real here. They picked him because he looked like Eli Manning. I'm sorry. They picked him because he looked like a Manning brother. He trained with the Manning brothers. That's why they took him. They had no business. He had no business being a first rounder. No business. No business.
All right,
I'm sorry. No business.
All right, let's jump into the next topic. The Bucs, we went to achieve something that they haven't in a while, man. They actually beat the New Orleans Saints in the regular season, and they basically did it by defense, right? The Buccaneers defense seems to be healthy. They seem to be back. They seem to be doing pretty good this year. Tom Brady, I think, played okay at best. You know what I mean? Obviously, the Saints defense is real. And I think Brady so far, I think he's kind of gotten off to kind of a lackluster season thus far. I believe he only has 2 touchdown passes and a pick. So let me ask this. So we know the Saints is good on defense, and obviously not every team is going to have where Jameis throws 3 picks, including a pick 6, right? How far do you think the Buccaneers can go? And shout out to Mike Ballard for tuning in. Appreciate it, bro. How far do you think the Buccaneers can go this year?
Well, Jay, let me tell you something, Jay. This looks like a New England Patriots team to me. This looks exactly like a New England Patriots team to me. They play great defense, fantastic defense. Their offense is struggling crazy. Why? Because think about it. Mike Evans out of game. Chris Godwin hurt. Typical.
And they just picked up Cole Beasley. I don't know if the people at home know that. They just picked up Cole Beasley for the slot.
It's a typical New England Patriots move. Chris Godwin hurt. Like, Tom Brady is struggling also because let's be real here. He's 45. Let's be real here.
Right.
45.
Right.
He ain't got no breakaway speed to get out of no rush. He ain't got no breakaway speed. But also, more importantly, he throwing to Rashad Perriman. Word. Like, come on, bro. Like, he ain't throwing to nobody. Like, he don't got Gronk no more. Cameron Brate and Rashad Perriman. Who worry about them? Who worry about them? Nobody worried about them. So he's doing what he can, the best he can with what? Doing what the New England Patriots did. What? Run the ball, play action pass over the top. Run the ball, play action pass over the top. Oh, we punt? All right, whatever. Play great defense. This formula is always worked for Tom Brady. So if you're asking Tom Brady, the GOAT, to make not as many throws and not as many mistakes, and what? And you're going to give him the ball with 2 minutes left, you know he's going to do it. Think about it. If it wasn't a blown coverage by the Bucs defense last year, he'd win the Super Bowl again.
Right.
Like, it's Tom Brady. This just only difference is this team doesn't look as loaded on offense as it did last year. So with that being said, now this team just looks to me just like a normal New England Patriots team that I used to hate playing every day.
So are you saying they're going to the Super Bowl? Or are you saying they're going to win the Super Bowl?
I got them probably going to the Super Bowl because they play the best defense in the NFC. They play the best defense in the NFC. And when the game comes down to it, when there's 1 minute and 30 seconds left and they need to drive to win the game, to kick the field goal or score a touchdown, whatever, it's Tom Brady.
All right. So when it comes to the Buccaneers, I'm torn. So at first, I did pick them initially to go to Super Bowl because I did like to pick up a Julio Jones. When Julio Jones can play the third receiver, I think that's perfect for him. But I'm a little worried about the injury bug because Carlton Davis, he's always hurt. Jamel Dean is always hurt. The linebackers, they're usually solid, not hurt. Vita Vea is a monster, but again, he has problems with his ankle, right? That usually will keep him out a game or two. In chat from Zach Packard, Bucs defense better than Philly. Yikes, that is close. I think right now, no. I think Philly is playing the best defense. Bucks
I think they
on
play the best
paper.
run defense. I think Eagles play better
Yeah.
run defense, but as a whole, coverage wise, I'm gonna take the Bucks.
Okay. Well, most people say the place to attack the Bucks is the passing game because that front seven is fierce.
But they tackle very well, though.
Yeah, they do. They do. Now I do think the Bucks will go to the playoffs. Obviously, I think they're going to win that division. I like Jameis, but not like that. You know what I mean? I think the Saints could Saints could be the best rushing team in the league. Then sure, they'll go to the playoffs, have a chance to win the division, but I don't think they will. I'm not the fan of Baker. I don't think the Panthers will be much, and neither will be the Falcons. So I definitely think they're going to the playoffs. I think now that's where it gets tough. I do think the Rams will get it together eventually. I like Green Bay's rushing attack and defense. We'll have to see with the receivers, right? So I do think the Bucks have an easy pass. I will say if they were in the AFC, I don't think they would be going to the Super Bowl. I think the NFC right now is a little. But then again, you have to watch Philly. You have to watch Minnesota, even though I know Philly kind of put the beats on Minnesota last night. But I think Minnesota has a good team going forward. Rodgers is there, obviously, with Green Bay. We'll see what happens. San Fran snuck up on everybody and went back to the NFC Championship. Obviously, and the Rams are the defending champs. So we'd have to, I think the NFC is better than what people are saying, but I do think it's not quite as good as the AFC, even though right now I believe they have a better record than the AFC teams so far. We got a comment from Brack Zadie, Chicka Zach Brady. Bucks D is def better than Philly, coming from a Philly fan. Okay. Well,
speaking of Philly, y'all need to play Jordan Davis more. Stop playing. Play Jordan Davis. He's a freak of nature. Play him. I know he's
young.
big.
He's young.
I know he's big, and you got him rotating, learn under Fletcher Cox. I understand. Stop playing. Put him in the game. Thank you. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say to that.
Philly's one of those teams that rotate the defensive line, though, so he's going to get more burn. You know what I mean? That's one thing I love about the Bills. One thing I love about the Rams. One thing I love about Philly and the Bucks. They rotate. Their defensive line room is actually like a lot of men like who actually can play and they're good. So they rotate them. I think Phillips will see more. You know what I mean? Jordan Davis. I'm sorry. Yeah, they have an interesting rotation so far. Glenn Foreman, you can look back, but you can't go back. This is not the same Tom Brady. Don't bet the house. That's interesting. That's an interesting take, man.
I bet against him year on year. I don't think you have to bet on Tom Brady this year. You just have to bet on the Bucs defense.
Okay. He's more for rundowns currently in a 5-man front. Look, I have a take when it comes to college players. I'm talking, I don't mean quarterbacks. I know we throw them to the fire, right? When it comes to guys like Davis coming in, I think we need to take a little better care of them. And I like what they're doing with Davis because, like, a lot of times they'll throw that guy in, play him every snap, and then he'll wear down, get hurt, right? When you got Fletcher Cox, you got who Philly got in that D-line room, I kind of like what they're doing. It's week 2, you know what I mean? He's going to get time. He's the future, so he's going to get time to play. Obviously, certain guys, they don't have a choice, like Hutchinson, what he's doing in Detroit. He has no choice. Like, he has to play that role, you know what I mean? So he has to be that guy, and he played great in their win. This is crazy how the Lions and Giants all got wins and Raiders don't. That kind of hurts me right now. Well, man, yeah. We'll talk about that next week because I have a sneaking suspicion the Raiders are going to start 0-3. And I think I didn't expect much this year because it is year 1 with a new coach, but I just have a feeling. Reggie Brown, Brady should have retired 2 years ago. Father Time is finally catching up. He's only back because his wife next. Okay.
No, look, I disagree. 100% disagree with that.
Look, man, after watching NFL football for a long time now, at least, I will say this. The only 2 teams I on paper don't bet against because with my luck, they'll win the damn Super Bowl is Tom Brady-led teams and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every time I feel like everybody count out the Steelers when they have a good team, they end up winning the damn Super Bowl. And same thing with Tom Brady. At this rate, it feels like Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl every other year. and obviously he didn't win last year. So I hope not, because look, like the world, I'm sick of Brady as well. We'll see what happens. So with that said, I'm curious, what other news do you think going forward right now? What's your thoughts on the Trey Lance injury, Jimmy G? Do you think it was smart by San Fran to hold on to Jimmy G? What do you think the future of the 49ers is with Trey Lance obviously being out? If the 49ers go back to the NFC Championship and or Super Bowl, what do you do next year? Do you go right back to Lance?
Trey Lance is your future. Trey Lance is your future. I think if you I think the thing with Trey Lance is you have to. I think you can ask him to do more, to do less, and that's the thing you can use with Jimmy G. You can ask him to do less. The thing with Jimmy G is Jimmy G is a successful game manager.
Okay.
He's a successful game manager, meaning he can take you to the playoffs no problem because he knows how to manage a game. Let me break it down for you. You put Jimmy G on the Pittsburgh Steelers. We beat the Patriots last week. You put Jimmy G on the Pittsburgh Steelers, we probably smoked the Bengals. Why? Because he knows how to manage the game well, but he can get you to the playoffs. Not a lot of other people who are game managers can get you to the playoffs and win. Win. He'll play just good enough to win. He will never play great. That's the thing about game managers. They play decent. They play great. They play good. They don't ever play great. They don't ever give you anything to over the top. There's only so much hard. There's almost so much you can go with a game manager. And that's the thing with Jimmy G is. No matter what, you're going to have to turn to Trey Lance because Trey Lance is the future of your offense. But I think Trey Lance is what you're going to have to do with him. You're going to have to ask him to do less. If you look at every quarterback, dynamic quarterback, they're doing less. Josh Allen, low-key, is doing less because he realized he has a bazooka of an arm. Throw the damn ball. He's not running as much anymore. You know what I mean? Even the way you can look at the way from Lamar got in the league to how he is now. He's using his legs way different. And that's the thing Trey Lance is going to have to learn. And just his broken ankle probably will have to rush that process quicker.
Yeah, and comment from Zachary Packard. Trey Lance is going to be the victim of the Josh Allen effect, a project people expect to work because of his athletic ability. Look, let's just call it for what it is. Trey Lance has not played a lot of football recently. Obviously, we know he's new to the NFL, so obviously Jimmy G, it was his team last year. Obviously, we know he missed the COVID year, in college. So, he really played, one full season of college?
And North Dakota.
You know what I mean? So, the last, if you go back, one of the last real times he played a full season was high school ball. And now, look, high school ball is high school ball, but it's not the NFL. You know what I mean? And now I'm a little worried for him on the experience factor, right? And if Jimmy G can take them back to the playoffs, because we know they got the defense, right? And the Niners gonna run the ball, we know that. If he can take them back, at this point, do you even get rid of Jimmy? You know what I mean? It's kind of tough. It's kind of look. I know if I was an opposing defensive coordinator and I had Lance coming to town, supposed to have Lance coming to town, and now Jimmy G's coming, I'm a little damn, because I'm not gonna say it's easy to confuse a rookie, but you could throw all types of coverages at rookies. And I know Jimmy G throws picks. I know, but at the same time, he's still a veteran, right? And he still can decipher stuff at the line. So I kind of agree with Packer where Trey Lance, a lot of people are going to say, well, look what happened with Josh Allen. Josh Allen also played a lot of football going into the NFL and then had some growing pains in the NFL. Hopefully Trey Lance gets that opportunity, but I don't know if it's going to turn out to where he morphs into Josh Allen. Comment from Glenn Foreman, Jimmy G is only successful in that system. Didn't Trey Lance outplay Jimmy in the preseason?
Nah.
And to follow up on that, give the young man a chance. They didn't draft him to sit. I agree with that, but at the same time,
they're going to play him. They're going to play him. I just think he can learn from Jimmy G.
At the same time, if you're a Niner fan, what if that hampers you from going back to deep in the playoffs,
Well, let's be real. The Niners are always hurt anyway. George Kittle hurt right now.
I will say, Zach Packard, I did not forget about your hot take. We're going to it right now. Hot take from Zach Packard. Hot take alert. Justin Herbert is the most overrated player in the NFL. Zach Packard,
Overrated.
I'm going to need you to explain. Because I have my thoughts on Justin Herbert, and I'm going to put this disclaimer out. I promise you it's not because I am a fan of the Raiders. All right. I think Justin Herbert has probably the best arm in the NFL. Maybe Josh Allen, maybe Mahomes, right? But they're all in that same level, right? The amount of praise he's getting for somebody who didn't make the playoffs, and I know people are going to say the coach, going for it on fourth down, and I know people are going to say the defense last year is not what it was this year. I will say, and I don't think it's because they're giving the praise to Herbert. I think what they're doing right now, they're giving the praise to any quarterback with a rocket arm, right? And I do think Herbert is nice. I'm a little worried that people are putting him on a pedestal he's not quite at yet, right? We've seen Mahomes win the MVP. We saw Lamar Jackson win the MVP. We saw Mahomes go and win a Super Bowl. We saw Josh Allen take the Bills into 13 seconds away from going to the AFC Championship. We saw Joe Burrow get to the Super Bowl. We didn't really see that yet from Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? He had a chance. He had the Raiders on the ropes. All he had to do was beat the Raiders, right? And I know a lot of people see them as the little old Raiders. He had them on the rope, and they lost the game, and they got booted from the playoffs, where the Chargers was hoping for a tie, obviously. So I'm not going to say he's overrated, but what I'm going to say is this is the year. You have the pass rushers, Bosa and Mack. You have the team. You know what I mean? Asante Samuel Jr. is looking like he's going to be a star in his league, a true star. So I'm not going to call him overrated yet, but I will say this is the year that he needs to get this team someplace. We judge every other quarterback on this, right? They killed Lamar when he didn't win a playoff game. Let's see what he does. If Reggie agrees, overrated! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! What are your thoughts on this? Is Justin Herbert overrated?
No, he's not overrated. I think he's right where he is as a rising star. I think he's a rising star. He's just not a star yet, and I think that's okay that he's not a star yet. He's up and coming. Now, the most overrated QB, and it breaks my heart to say this right now, is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is the most overrated because he blamed the life out of the Seattle offensive line for the last 3 years, which I understand he was getting murdered. But some of them throws was on him. Some of the sacks he took were because of him, because he would backpedal 3,000 yards and spin around. I think right now Russell Wilson is it's a quarterback we all need to be concerned about, because it's like you got a $256 million contract and you not playing like it. Like, I'm really concerned about Russell Wilson and what he looks like in this new offense, because it don't look that much better than when he was in Seattle. So, like, I'm very much concerned, especially when DK Metcalf better than all the receivers on the Broncos combined. So I'm really concerned. I think the most overrated quarterback right now has to be Russ, and that pains me. I'm such a Russell Wilson fan.
That makes me hype because he plays on the Broncos. Zachary Packard. I think Herbert is a good ball player, but what has he done? And I think that's what people are. I think now it's put up for shut up time for him. Obviously, because we know he's going to receive the monster contract. Him and Burrow about to be paid regardless, right? Coming from Reggie Brown, Russell is just past his prime. He peaked already. I hope not, because he's talking about he's playing at 45 years old and.
It ain't looking like it, bro.
Yeah, he's not 40.
It is not looking like he's gonna get there right now. What you playing now? No. It's not looking pretty for my guy right now.
Zach Packer. I think Kyler Murray and Herbert are the same QB in terms of physical ability. Only difference is Herbert watches film. Well, apparently the Raiders didn't watch film, because I was screaming at my TV. They're just going to run the receivers to one side, and he's going to take off and do that little stutter step he always does where he holds the ball out, and the Raiders fell for it every time, man. I could not believe it. Kyler, I think, will be okay. Herbert, he has to right now. Like, he's turning into the golden boy, right? Like, people picking him to win MVP. They're picking him to do all these things. I think it's put up time for him.
Kingsbury overrated.
Glenn Foreman. Damn. Absolutely not. He's a very talented young man who needs more time and better plays called. Wilson overrated. The same reason you mentioned is the same reason we all loved him. Come on, man. Look, Russell Wilson, I'm going to extend him a little bit of grace. The same thing, and I know people want to say I'm being a homer, but I'm not. Him and Derek Carr right now are playing in new offenses. Mahomes and Herbert are not. I'm not saying they're all on the same level. What I'm saying is Josh McDaniels is really different from John Gruden. I'm glad Gruden is gone, but he's different, right? And obviously Nathaniel Hackett is the first-year head coach, so who knows what his system even is going, and he's coming from a Pete Carroll system. So we'll have to see with that, because they both got talent on their offense, and it's really not an excuse to if they both win 4 games or 5 games. They got to at least push for the division, but Herbert and Mahomes have a step ahead. Agree 100%. Glenn Foreman, Kyler's overrated. So I guess he agrees. Kyler's overrated. Not too many Kyler fans in the chat. Wow.
He's not worth the money they paid him. So if like that makes him overrated, then I would go way then he's the most overrated, because he's definitely not worth the money they paid him.
The studying thing really, like, I know they took it out the contract and then they tried to say it never was in the contract. That really like perked my ears up. You know what I mean?
The Cardinals are wild. The Cardinals are wild overrated. The Cardinals are wild.
Look,
overrated.
Man, I can't talk right now. They beat the Raiders. Reggie Brown, Tom Brady and Ben, who played for 20 years, is an anomaly. Russell peaked 5 years ago.
I ain't saying all that.
I
ain't saying all that. But like, it just questions you. It's just like it's looking at you where it's like, Russell, you have to play better. Like, this is you, bro. Like, this is you. Like,
look, like I watched the Houston game, and Broncos receivers were open, right? Like, I saw Russell Wilson skip a 15-yard pass to a receiver. He needs to play better. The running game is there. Williams is a monster, and Melvin Gordon is running well. They got the offensive line. Russell just has to do it. Dana Sousis, Rodgers needs to be done and retired already. RELAX, relax. Look, man, Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the most arrogant football players to play. Like, look, I couldn't be teammates with him, right? Because no matter what happens, it's your fault. And look, I think Rodgers will have a good year. He's not going to have I don't think he's going to win the MVP. I don't think he's going to have an MVP season. I think he'll sneak the Packers into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Exactly, Packer. Derek Carr is painfully underrated. I think Carr was underrated for a while. I do think he was underrated for a while.
I agree.
I think last year I thought he played very well, despite they had that game skid in the middle where they lost, I think, 5 in a row. This year, no excuses though. I think right now, Derek Carr, look, man, if you can lead a team to the playoffs with no coach, no coach, your number one receiver goes to jail. Now you got Devontae Adams, Waller, Renfro. Look, I'm gonna put that game on Renfro, right? Because he fumbled 2 back-to-back times and they got scooped and scored for the game winner. Raiders, other than that, Raiders kicked the game-winning field goal in overtime. They were 1-1, right? But the Chargers, week 1, fine. Going forward against the Titans as they go to Tennessee, you're going to the East Coast now, right? He has to play well. He has to play a lot better, actually. Going forward, Zeke is overrated along with Reggie Brown.
Oh, Zeke been overrated for some years now. Like, Zeke been wild.
I like the way Zeke played against the Bengals. I didn't think he got the ball enough. I didn't think he got the ball enough. I know they split time with him and Pollard now, but so more from Glenn Foreman. So if Green Bay doesn't win this year, is he overrated? I'm not going to say overrated. What I'm going to say is Rodgers is not the leader. Like Rodgers, like I think Brady, I think Mahomes. I think part of the thing with them is like they can pull somebody who's not as good as we think they are and be like, come on, man. Like, I'm gonna get you the ball, right? Rodgers is like, bro, you drop one pass, I'm not throwing it to you. I think that's why he was throwing to Devontae Adams over and over, not because Devontae Adams is that good, which I think he is, but it's more the fact that Rodgers he don't trust nobody, right? He puts the blame on everybody else.
Oh, I got a question for you. Who you like better, Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons?
Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons? Right now, I got to go Myles Garrett. Right there. And to me, right now, like, yeah, Myles Garrett, I think, is a beast. I think Micah Parsons is on his way. But what Myles Garrett has done so far, where in terms of wrecking games, Micah can do it, but I mean, I got to see more. Total 19 fantasy points in 2 weeks. Yeah, they got stomped by the Vikings. So,
yeah.
Glenn Former, does he get a pass because he's young receiver core? No passes for Rodgers. He just won the MVP. It's time for you to pull young receivers along.
He still got Randall Cobb. He'll figure it out.
Dana, Rush will take Dak's job. That's not going to happen. They paid Dak way too much money. I do think Dak Prescott is a slight bit overrated. I don't think he's as good as everyone's saying, but he's not taking his job.
He's a Commanders fan. That's well wishing right there. Like
Zach Packer coming from the guy, and I quote, Renfro better not see the field again. For anybody on my YouTube channel, they're talking about my Facebook post when Hunter Renfro he fumbled on back-to-back plays, man. Come on, man. It's like it reminds me of Remember the Titans. Hold the damn ball, Petey. Like
how many feet are in a mile? How many feet are in a mile?
Yo, Renfro, his route running is nasty. Like his route running is incredible. Well, hold the ball, yo. Like, and the only reason why it's not a real talking point around the league is because the Raiders somehow they always recover his fumbles, but of course now got scooped and scored in return. I know he's probably not playing this week because he did have a concussion, so speedy recovery to him. Obviously, Renfro, I want to see him do well. Zach Packard, Micah, and I don't think it's close. Garrett is monster though. Look, I think Micah is going to end up one day being the best NFL player in the league, possibly, right? Mike, I think he has everything to speak super fast off the ball. He has like that grit to him, and like he's skillfully and technically sound. So I do think Micah will. I think Garrett still got it right now, but obviously this season got a lot to see.
Like, I just think, like, I always thought Myles Garrett is good because think about it, I got to watch him all the time. He's in my division. Right. I got to watch him all the time. But with Myles Garrett, I always just thought, like, when it comes to, like, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett is not better than TJ Watt by no stretch of the imagination. I never thought it was close. What TJ Watt does in the run, better than Myles Garrett don't play the run as good as he should. He's a great pass rusher. If you want to go TJ Watt and Myles Garrett pass rush neck and neck, they're just as good. But TJ Watt is the better all around DN outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it. Period. Sure. I don't think nobody touching TJ Watt as an outside linebacker right now. But
that's fair.
With him being hurt for the next 6 weeks, Mike Parsons you can probably say Micah Parsons is the best linebacker, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it, right now in the league, and it's not crazy. That's not crazy. But also, I see that comment. Shout out to Detroit. The Lions look like they're ready for ball. But let's be real here. They still got Jared Goff. So, like, I need them to be – I think the best interest in the Lions to be middle of the pack so they still keep their low first rounders. They don't got to be number one, but I'm saying, like, if they can get, like, a number 15, 10 to 15 pick again, they're going to be scary if they get a quarterback. They're going to be real scary. Real scary.
Jared Goff was a Gronkowski throw, an amazing catch by Gronkowski away from possibly winning a Super Bowl. I think him with the Lions will be good. Hutchinson is a monster.
Oh, my God.
I like their running game. I like what Detroit has. Detroit might mess around and sneak into the playoffs this year. The wild card in the NFC is going to be tough, just like it will be in the AFC. But I think if not, they're going to play spoiler for a lot of teams.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think them and the Jags are going to be those spoiler teams.
Levante Armwood, I knew he was coming. Giants, baby. You missed the segment we had on the Giants. Obviously, Cowboys are going to the Giants this week. I believe you're going to the game. Enjoy that 100%. Yeah, man. Look, I think Devontae thinks the Giants are going to go 3-0. I do think they're going to lose to Dallas, but we will see.
They'll be 3-14, 15, or whatever.
I do agree with Glenn though. The Lions do look much better this year.
Like I just think it's best in their interest for the future. I mean, but do I think they're going? I think they're going to be like, they're going to be great.
Zach Packard being super honest with us. As long as St. Brown keeps getting my fantasy points, I will root for Motown. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, man. Look,
hey,
man.
I hear that. I got to root for. Shout out! I got Stephon Diggs, man. I root for Stephon Diggs every week. Every week.
Look, man. So that's all we got for this show. I want to thank Devontae forever for stopping through. Look, man, you guys in the chat, you want to be on the show next week? Please let me know, man. I can get you on the show. Don't run, don't hide. I know Packers the Bills fan. I know I obviously Pops with Cincinnati. We'll touch upon Kirk Cousins. When it's Monday night, Kirk Cousins don't play well. So I knew that was gonna happen. It's like a curse for him.
It's prime time.
Yeah, real talk. So if you guys want to be on the show, just let me know next week. I can get you guys on the show. Ask Devontae. It's not hard. It's not hard at all.
No.
Appreciate you guys stopping through. We'll be back next Tuesday, of course, recapping week 3 in the NFL. Steelers, man, real quick before we get out of here, Steelers play Thursday night against the very guy who you were just talking smack about, Myles Garrett. So everybody in the chat, give me your predictions. Steelers Browns Thursday night. Who wins?
Steelers win this game, sadly.
No wool hat.
The Steelers will win this game. But I do think if we lose this game, you will see Kenny Pickett I'll see him in person. But I'm going to the Steelers game next week. But if the Steelers lose this game, you will see Kenny Pickett starting next week, and I bet money on it.
So
63 is a realistic score. I ain't gonna lie. 63.
We got Daniel says score. The Browns. We got Zach Packer Steelers 6-3.
He might be right. The way the offense is looking, he might be right. I got a video I gotta do on that.
Check down Trubisky.
Literally. Dude's gone down the sideline, flat route. Like, are you serious, bro? Like, come on. Like
Levante says Browns smacking them up.
Hey,
Jacoby Brissett.
But if we lose this game, you will see Kenny Pickett next week against the Jets. I guarantee it.
No doubt. Comment, Glenn Farr, I'm proud of you, my sons. Fuck the Steelers. Keep the coach off the field.
He's just, you know,
you can tell you're a Cincinnati fan.
Yeah, he in pain right now. He in pain for what we did to him.
But that's all we got. I'm gonna catch you guys next week. We'll be back again. If you want to be on the show, just reach out to me. You know how to find me, JB Garden Gridiron Podcast. We out.